Good morning, again. 8:48. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear? You can hear me? You can hear me?
I can hear you.
Are you sure you can hear me?
Hear you,
can you hear me? Oh, good. I'm glad you can hear me.
I know somebody who can hear better than all of us.
That's
right
probably
now.
true.
What about me?
I think Harlan can hear better than all of us. He's
Harlan
tuned in. He's
with
ready to go.
Beltone joins us this morning. Thanks for coming back, Harlan. Great to have you here. Yeah, absolutely. Do you get that question a lot? Can you hear me? Do you hear that from your patients a lot?
Well, there was
when
an
they
old
come?
commercial that said something like that.
Yeah.
We hear it a lot.
Yeah.
That's okay. We can. Folks that come in, they're not sure what they have lots on, but most of the time they miss the clearness of words, not necessarily the loudness. So a lot of people don't come in for a while. So when they do, they finally have some questions. They want to get to know about their hearing loss. So we bring them down the nice road and teach them about their own hearing, find out what's going on, and then also find out what the family's going through. Because sometimes a family is going through just as much as them because they have to do everything, repeat everything twice, and it stays. You have to stay motivated to do that. So folks are coming in sometimes not just for them, but for their family members as well.
Do most people, is there any way to, I guess, to know, or from what you've seen over your years, because you're a third generation hearing specialist as well? Gosh, been doing this a long time. Do most people not know they're losing their hearing, or would you say they do know and they just don't want to admit it?
Well, there's some of that. There's certainly that. But it's gradual. You're going to miss some sounds more than others. The sounds on the right-hand side of a piano, those sounds are the ones you miss the most usually. Those are the ones that are most important for clearness, for separating syllables, separating words, separating people from the conversation we're having from that noise over there. So those sounds are usually the first to go. And you don't notice that because the deeper low-frequency sounds that you would hear on the left-hand side of the piano keyboard, those are the sounds that folks hear better, usually, and they give you the feeling of loudness.
And I would imagine it starts with a hearing test to really know. So if someone comes to Beltone and the multiple locations you've got, whether Cornelius, Mooresville, soon to be Statesville, and the other locations you have around the area, is it you with a piano and you're hitting each of the individual keys and testing to see what they can hear?
Test, yeah.
That's all it is. That's all we do is get a piano. We actually do have some sound generation equipment that could actually let them hear what it would sound like if there was noise around. And then so they can kind of demonstrate to them what hearing aids, what hearing technology would be like. The most important thing is to make sure we tune it to that person's hearing, make sure it's clear when there's noise. And even when there's noise, I still want to keep that clarity. And with newer technology, not every technology, you have to get something that's reasonable. There are certain technologies that you can control better, and those hearing aids allow the clarity to be through even if there's noise. You can get a lower technology hearing aid. It does great if there's no noise around. But if you get the right technology, it doesn't have to be a top one. It doesn't have to be the top one. It can be very good if you set it right. And the dispenser that is there is the person that's most important. There's lots of good name brands out there. Beltone is one of them. Mm-hmm. There's other companies too. Resound, another good one. And there's many good ones. There's not a crummy, big, good hearing aid company. There's just not. There's over-the-counter things that aren't so great, but they serve a purpose for those folks who just can't do something. They just can't afford it, and they need something. But the reality is, if you want to hear good and clear and it sounds good and natural, then you need something that's what some people call a real hearing aid. And that's what we specialize in. That's what the insurance companies are helping out with, too, is the real technology that can really do good. And if you program it properly, then it can be wonderful. So it depends on the dispenser, not so much the name brand, but if you've got a good dispenser, he's going to be able to know his products, and that's the ones you should ask him to help you with is what he knows the best.
And you carry multiple lines of products, different brands of products, all the top ones for folks. The insurance concept is a big deal, though. Isn't that fairly new, though, for insurance to be covering any cost toward hearing aids?
A few years before COVID, that kind of started. There's groups like True Hearing. United Healthcare has their group. There's Aetna and Cigna. And then Blue Cross and Humana, they have their groups. True Hearing is one of those. And they offer a program where they would have a dispenser like me, be in their program, and then they negotiate lower prices with manufacturers. And then they can they bill the insurance company for some. So your cost can be a third to a fourth is what it normally is. And if you're on Medicare and Medicaid, both, it can even be zero.
We're talking with Harlan of Beltone, locally here around the Lake Norman area, multiple locations for your convenience. You can visit nchearing.com to look at the location. Be sure to call in and talk with Harlan's team. They're ready for you. You can come in today for a hearing test. That's what it starts with. I thought the ear was just like a hole and the sound just goes through it and magically does its stuff. But the technology is there to fix the actual anatomy inside, right, or help it.
Well, one of the first things you look for is what kind of hearing loss you have. There's mechanical type of hearing loss, which is the eardrum, maybe fluid behind the ear hole in your eardrum. There's the bones of the ear that maybe not work efficiently. The eustachian tube, which your ears pop and you go to the mountains, that might not work. That's mechanical things. A hearing aid can help that, but you generally with that, you want to send to an ear, nose, and throat doctor that can actually look and see if there's help available. But let's assume that's not, and then you can get a hearing aid for that. But most of the common hearing loss is nerve deafness. That affects some sounds more than others, and that's why some people say I hear but have trouble understanding speech. So if it's that, all of that can be treated with hearing technology. But there are certain types, if it's a help that a doctor can help, you want to go there first, and we can figure that out.
I got so many excuses every time I talk to Harlan. Now I can use with my wife at home whenever I'm talking to her. That's phenomenal. For the side of the nerve damage, that comes, I assume, gradually over time. Is that right, or can it happen all at once?
Well, if it does, it's usually one ear only, and that's more of a catastrophic thing that happens. And sometimes people get really dizzy. If you ever have that, go to the doctor right away. If it's sudden, pardon me. If it's sudden, go to the doctor right away. Sooner rather than later is important. The hours matter. If you have that sudden drop in hearing, it could just be a wax blockage that just plugged up. But the reality is, if you have a sudden drop, especially if it's associated with dizziness, go to a doctor right away. Steroids and other things can be administered and help out. So the other type of hearing loss that's most common is nerve deafness, and that is caused by noise or heredity, the most common things. People work around noise that doesn't show up for years later. They might realize that they might not realize other people notice it more because they have to do all the repeating. So noise is the most common thing, and heredity. There's other things, but those are the two most common things.
So do you get families who bring their loved ones in, and the loved one's like, I don't need a hearing aid. I hear just fine.
There's people that come in with their arms crossed mentally that don't want to do anything, and
she told me I had to come to the appointment, Harlan.
Or she told me we were going to lunch, and now we're here.
That's right. Or I get cold meals unless I come here, so they're here. So there are people that are not sure they want to do it, and it's so slow, and nobody wants to admit they have a hearing loss. And that sometimes people think that makes them think older, but really today's technology is so new and modern. It's small, it's little, it's clear, it's great. People are wearing things like that on their ears all the time anyway because it's just talking on the phone and Bluetooth devices. So it's so different than it used to be. It's not these big bulky things, and they're clear. And the good thing is that it just makes you feel more relaxed. You feel more a part of everything. You feel like you can enjoy, take part. You can feel like you're with your family and not have to strain. And it's just more relaxing. People just say all the time, it's just relaxing when I can hear better. I just feel like I'm with it and I'm a part of the group.
Do people come to you with like that fashion sense, right? Because you mentioned like the big bulkiness versus the new age, and they are very slim and sleek. You've shown me some of the new age products. Was that a common thing, earlier days of man, I don't want to wear this big old thing on my ears and be funny out when I'm out in the grocery. What's that been like?
I think that's important to recognize that the small is better and that the newer technology works so much better now. So people don't appear they appear to be more with it. If you're wearing technology and you're actually correcting your hearing loss, you're going to be more, people are going to think, oh, he's with it. He's on top. He's on his game. But if you're missing, you're going to be missing a lot of important things that you don't know you're missing, but it's gradual and it builds up, and people might not think as highly of the conversation they would have with you. So sometimes people withdraw themselves, and some people don't feel like, I don't get people talking to me as much, and they have to ask over all the time, and they feel left out. So they will sometimes not be a part of the group, and that leads to a more important thing we hadn't talked about yet, but that's mental decline, and that has been shown with Johns Hopkins University and other good groups over thousands of people over many years. They've discussed and learned that hearing properly is the most important sense to stay sharp mentally. If you wear hearing protection, you can go a long way to help you stay fresher and more mentally clear now, immediately, but also long term.
And so for those that want to protect their hearing, this is like, how important is it to wear like those kind of safety things if you're working big machinery and things like that? Can it really damage your hearing?
Well, one big gunshot wrong on the ear can damage hearing just one time. It usually takes a long time, over 90 to 110 decibels of sound over a long period of time is going to damage your hearing. If you go to concerts a lot, wear hearing protection, put anything in your ear at all. Just keep the big noise out. Don't stand in front of the speakers ever, for goodness sakes. Don't do that, because one time like that can ruin it. And it makes certain sounds go, so you don't know it, and you feel like you're not quite sure what it is, but it just gradually grows on you. So stay out of the noise, wear hearing protection. When you're cutting grass, if you can, just put anything in there. Just paper towel, wad it up, cram it in there. You knock half the noise off, you're protecting.
And it starts with that hearing test. That's how you can go in and know, okay, is this something that can be treated with hearing aids, or should you be referred to a specialist? Even that. So when you do the hearing test, you can help people determine, hey, you really need to go see a doctor for this. This is something more almost surgical. Is that the idea?
Certainly. Surgery is available for some people, depends, and we would find that out. We can tell by our testing, no question about that. If we have a problem like that, it's called a conductive hearing loss, and other types of hearing loss that might look like there's something going on wrong with the ear. pathologically. So we would figure out what to do and send who to send to, and then follow up and make sure that they get good surgery. I mean, good protection or good services.
There's so many things with the technology these days too. You were showing me and telling us about some of the stuff. Even my mom like using like AI, like to do images and things like that. But the hearing aids, they can connect to like Bluetooth and your TV and your phone. And all. Can they do all that too?
Oh my goodness! You can control it with your phone, like a remote control. You can actually turn if you want to, you can turn the volume up or down, or even more. If you want to get crazy, you can actually turn the bass and treble and mid range. So you can play with it if you want to. So it's whatever level you want to be at. You can leave it alone. It's completely automatic. The new ones, you can just make it. We don't have to do anything. But some people, if the band is too loud, you can turn it down. Or they want to hear a little bit farther away, you can turn it up. So you can adjust it. And when you talk on the phone, you hear it right through your hearing aids. You don't even need to have the phone up. You can even have the phone in another room and answer your phone by a certain way you tap the hearing aid. And people love it. They are able to hear great on the phone. It compensates for their hearing. They have no worries on the phone. Most folks do great on the telephones.
And the big thing you mentioned, insurance, that's going to be what people are wondering because, with hearing aids, they are important pieces of technology, and the companies that make them know that, so they charge for them, but the opportunity is there to get some of that cost covered. Do you work with the insurance companies for the patients potentially, or do they have to go do all the paperwork and all that other stuff?
Don't worry, we did the paperwork. Come on in. You're not going to have to do anything like that. We know all. We dot the I's and cross the T's. We got a great staff that can tell. If you're not sure whether your insurance is covered, come in. And we can learn about that and certainly find out what your costs would be, and that way you can leave and have knowing what's going on and then knowing how much it'll be.
Harlan with Beltone, multiple locations around the Lake Norman area, here in Cornelius, Mooresville, Statesville coming to you soon, other locations even around the area if you or your family is located all around the Lake Norman area. nchearing.com is the website. Go by there, and you can schedule your appointment today. You could stop in and see Harlan. He'll give you that free hearing test. Get that journey back toward great hearing insurance. Definitely can be involved in the process, too, to help cover that cost. Harlan, thanks for coming in.
Call me.